Okay. Hope my screen is visible. First, let me delete the CloudFront distribution because yesterday we disabled that. Today we'll delete that first. Okay. So this one we need to delete this. Delete option is enabled today. Delete, delete. So today we need to discuss about VPC. Okay, guys, remember the topic VPC is very important topic, and for cracking the interview, our almost all our work culture also, moreover depends upon the VPC only. Like majority of the things will be comes under in the VPC only. Okay. What is VPC? VPC is virtual private cloud. VPC means virtual private cloud. If you guys remember, like in the beginning class of the AWS, like when you start the AWS, right? In the beginning class of the AWS, I might explain it two different models. Can you guys recall that? What are the two different types of models are there? Any answers? Any inputs? Two types of models we discussed that in the beginning class when we were talking about the cloud computing. One is service model, another one is deployment model. One is service model, another one is deployment model. What are the different types of service models are there? Can you guys tell us? Service models.
Infrastructure as a service, software as a service,
and platform as a service.
platform as a service.
Deployment models means public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, community cloud. These are the four things we discussed. Am I correct? So now we talked about the service models, right? Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. So this virtual private cloud is the service which is comes under in infrastructure as a service, IaaS. So because this will only going to define entire your network stack, nothing but in entire your networking world, what are the things are there, that's completely defined by using virtual private cloud only. Okay. So Amazon Virtual Private Cloud enables you to, like, or else you can think about. I also said deployment models, correct? AWS is a public cloud. What is private cloud then? What is the meaning of private cloud? Deployment models I'm talking about. Public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, community cloud we discussed, right? What is the use of private cloud? Which are the clouds are available in private in nature? Public cloud is the cloud which is publicly available for everyone to use that is a public cloud. Example, AWS is a public cloud. Private cloud nothing but the cloud which is developed and situated in the our company only as a private in nature. We are only using that particular cloud, that is a private cloud. Hybrid means combination of public and private, both are called as a hybrid. Okay, Community means set up people are generated, set up people are set up the cloud, and those guys only using that cloud means community cloud. So, but here AWS is the public cloud, okay, but VPC is virtual private cloud. That means inside your AWS account for your company, you are creating on private cloud. Clearly assume that. So AWS is a public cloud. Inside that AWS public cloud, you are creating a one private cloud for your organization. That is the VPC, virtual private cloud in the AWS. Amazon Virtual Private Cloud enables you to launch AWS services into a virtual network that you have been defined. The virtual network, this virtual network closely resembles a traditional network that you would operate in your data center with the benefits of using scalable infrastructure of AWS. Think guys, we are dealing this networking structure in the cloud, correct? We already know about cloud is nothing but elastic, nothing but whenever it want you can increase, whenever you don't want you can able to decrease. That is called as also we call it as a growing and shrinking. We call it as grow and shrink. Grow means increase, shrink means reduce. So you can easily customize the network configuration of your VPC. For example, you can assume you can create a public facing subnet for your web servers that has access to the internet and place the backend systems such as databases at the application servers in a private facing subnet with no internet access. So here two things should be remembered. We are creating two subnets. One is public subnet, another one is private subnet. Public subnet, the website which is publicly viewable, that is called as a public subnet. The website only accessible by within an organization, that is a private subnet. Name itself, naming convention itself like that is there. You can leverage multiple layers of security, including security groups and network ACL to Amazon EC2 instances in each subnet. Look at this diagram, guys. We'll go from left to right. So you can see the symbol here. This is a cloud symbol. This is one more device is there. From this cloud, nothing but getting the internet. Internet will reach to internet gateway. Internet gateway will transfer the internet to router. This is a router. Router will connect to the router will connect to two different subnets. That is default subnet 1, default subnet 2. Their IP address also there you can see. Some number of IPs also reflecting there. Okay, so generally two types of IPs will be there. One is public IP, another one is private IP. Both are reflecting there. You can see. Okay, this complete architecture is called as a VPC. Where this complete architecture means this complete architecture is there in the AWS cloud. That's this diagram will be describes. Okay. Any questions? Any questions or confusions? Are we good? Next, VPC lets you provision logically isolate section in the cloud. Logical isolation nothing but it is going to create separate section, separate infrastructure for your company. Okay, in the cloud where you can launch AWS resources in a virtual network that you define. I mean, whatever the network you are going to create now, right? In that network only we are going to create our infrastructure, ಅಥವಾ AWS cloud resources. You have complete control over your virtual networking environment, including selection of your IP address range, creation of subnets, and configuration of route table and networking gateways. You can use both IPv4 and IPv6 in your VPC for secure and easy access to resources and applications. Remember guys, total 3 categories of IPs are there. Let me give this context also in that. So 3 categories of IPs are there. 3 categories in the IP. IP types, 3 types. First one, public IP, private. This is one category. Next category will be STATS, static, dynamic. One more category, IPv6. 6. These are the 3 categories: static, public, private, static, dynamic, and IPv4, IPv6. Next category will be classes of IP address. First, class A, okay, IP range will be 0 to 127. Second one, class B 128 to 191, class C 192 to 223. Fourth one, class D 224 to 239. Fifth class, last class, class E 220, 242, 255. This is the range. Remember this, guys, classification of IP will be 5 classes are there, but make sure we are using only first 3 classes only. A, B, C are the 3 are there, right? First 3 only we are using. For what purpose? Like types of network you guys aware about, right? I mean, I'm not teaching complete networking. Types of networks. LAN, MAN, WAN. Remember these 3. Local area network, metropolitan area network, wide area network. Okay, so these 3 will support above 3. Class A, B, C are there, right? Those will support these 3 types of networking. That's the reason these 3 only we are using. Okay. A VPC is a subcloud inside the AWS public cloud. Remember, AWS public cloud is a main cloud. Inside that cloud, VPC is just a subcloud. Sub means a small cloud. Subcloud means it is inside and also isolated logical network. Then other servers cannot see the instances that are inside the VPC. You can launch your AWS resources such as EC2 instances into your VPC. You can configure your VPC. You can select its IP address range, create subnets, and configure route tables, network gateways, and security settings. Like this, many things we can able to do. Yes, what is subnet is the important question here. What is subnet means? Subnet nothing but subdividing a big network into small piece of networks. Remember, subnet nothing but subdividing a big network into small piece of networks. Subdividing big network into small piece of networks. Subnet is a range of IP addresses in your VPC. You can launch AWS resources into a subnet that you select. Uses a public subnet for resources that must be connection to the internet. Just a moment. Sorry. So two important things here will be like let me write down here. Subnet nothing but subdividing big network into small pieces of network. So for example, you can think subnet nothing but is equal to sub plus networking. Here, what is the word sub? Means dividing. You can treat them. You can launch AWS resources into your subnet that you select. Use a public subnet for resources that you must be connected to the internet. Subnet is a subnetwork inside the VPC. Security groups are stateful, network ACLs are stateless. This is an important word. Security group, SG, security group is SG. It's a stateful, NACL is stateless. Okay, remember these two words. Security group is stateful, network ACL is stateless. Oh, but we'll define that. What is stateful, what is stateless, why we're call it as this, we'll discuss that. So remember guys, with respect to the IP range, I said public IP, private IP, correct? So out of the three range, class A, B, C, the reflecting range is there, right? This one. This is the range which we call it as a private IP address. Private IP address. The range what I specified here is a private IP range. Private IP range. In class A 10.0.0.0 to 10.255.255.255. This one we'll call it as a 10/8 subnet. 10/8 we'll call it as simply. B, if you think about 172.16.0.0 to 172.31.255.255. This one we'll call it as 172.16 slash 12 series we'll call it as 12 series. Then last one C series 192.168.0.02 192.168.255.255. This series will call it as 192.168. What is the series? This one 16 prefix. Okay, slash 16 prefix. Okay, remember these values. These are the private IP ranges, except the range which I mentioned here. In the all the range which are there in the world, that's completely public only. That means the range what I mentioned here, except this range, the rest of the ranges will be public IP address only. Correct? Next, you can use the below URL to understand the number of IP addresses that are available under the CIDR. One more important word, CIDR. I mean, like this 10.0.0.0/24, like this value is there, means this complete value we call it as a CIDR. CIDR. What is this meaning? Classless inter-domain routing. Classless inter-domain routing. Remember guys, this complete IP address slash subnet mask both are there, means we are call it as a CIDR, classless inter-domain routing. Look at this diagram. Generally this is the architecture diagram of the VPC. Okay, the components what are reflecting in this screen, these things only we need to create. Now as part of the practical, this components whatever reflecting here, right, these components only we need to create it today. Okay, so first thing, internet is coming from internet here outside world. We need to create an internet gateway. We need to create root table. Under the root table, roots subnet association, two components, so that this two need to create. Then we have a public subnet, private subnet, two subnets we need to create with this respective IP address. Inside the subnets we need to create a servers. This is a EC2 instance is the servers. Outer layer is a VPC. This is the VPC range we need to take. Okay, this components we need to create. Let me explain this. What is that? VPC nothing but what is VPC in the internet they'll ask. VPC is Amazon Virtual Private Cloud. It will allow you to provision a logically isolated section of the AWS cloud where you can launch AWS resources into a virtual network that you created or that you defined. What is subnet? Subnet is a range of IP addresses in your VPC. Subnet is a range of IP addresses in your VPC. Internet gateway is very important component. Internet gateway is a horizontally scaled, redundant, and highly available VPC component that allows communication between VPC and the internet. That means intermediator. This internet gateway is an intermediator. That means it is going to provide the connectivity between internet and along with VPC. Route table. Route table contains a set of rules called as routes. There are used to determine where network traffic from your subnet and from gateway is directed. Nothing but how the traffic is going from one device to another device. That is described by the routing table. Okay, route table. Then the first 4 IP addresses and the last IP address in each subnet CIDR block are not available for you to use and cannot be assigned to the internet. Nothing but instance. Remember, any of the range you take, the CIDR range is specified, right? Any range you take, the first IP address, 5 IP address, it won't be available. We cannot able to use. We cannot assign any of the 5 IP address to any of the server because that is reserved purpose. Means we are using this range is for reserved purpose. So for example, look at 10.0.0.0 first IP. This is for user for network address. 10.0.0.1 you reserved for AWS for VPC router. 10.0.0.2 reserved for AWS for DNS. 10.0.0.3 reserved for AWS for future use. Then last one 10.0.0.0.255 network broadcast address. For this communication wise, 5 IP address we cannot able to use for any of the communication purpose. Clear? Next, what you can do with VPC? These are the things what is specified here, right? This many things we need to create it today. Launch an instance into a subnet of your choosing. Assign a custom IP address ranges in each subnet. Configure route table between the subnets. Create internet gateway and assign it to the VPC. Much better security control over AWS resources. Instance security groups. Subnet network access control list. And this many things we need to create. Let me go ahead one by one. Okay, look at guys clearly. Search for VPC. Make sure the region which you selected. So my preferable region will be North Virginia. Make sure guys, you guys always do your things on the North Virginia first region. Okay. So let me proceed for creating the resources. Your VPCs. By default, in all the regions, one VPC will be there. That is a default VPC we'll call it as. You can name it like this, default type 1 VPC. You can name as a default type 1 VPC so that we won't touch this one. Okay. Now we need to create the VPC. First component is VPC. Create VPC. Then here 2 options are there. VPC is an isolated portion of the cloud populated by AWS services such as Amazon EC2 instances. So here VPC only, VPC and many more, 2 options are there. VPC only and VPC and many more, 2 options are there. So we'll select VPC only. First we'll do VPC only, then we'll go for rest of the things. Okay. So here name of the name tag we need to give. Name tag we need to give. So I'll give custom VPC. Others I'll give dev VPC. Dev VPC. I'll give the name dev VPC. IP4 CIDR manual input. We need to give the IP address. So I'll give 10.0.0.0/24. Remember guys, if you use /24, always remember the CIDR size block will be there right in the down. This you need to remember. That means the range should be above after the slash. What is the value is there? I use 24, right? This value should be above 16 and below 28. Not less than that, not more than that. Within this range only we need to use. Make sure that. So now this is the range I given. If I use this range, how many IPs will get? 256 IPs will get total. If I use this range, how many IPs I'll get? 256 I'll get. But 256 minus 5, because we know that 5 IP addresses won't available, right? Minus 5, if I do that, how many are available? 251. Next, another important word is tenancy. Tenancy nothing but, so where you want to create the resource. Okay, so we have two options for the default, dedicated. Nothing but guys, default nothing but like your servers, my servers, everybody's servers will be kept in a same room. That is called as a default. Dedicated nothing but my servers they kept in different room, your servers they kept in different room. If you choose dedicated, okay. But dedicated is so costly, we'll go for default only. Then tag we added name dev VPC. So env we can put dev. Okay. Then click on create VPC. Click on create VPC. So if I click on that, VPC is created now. Remember guys, when I go to VPC screen, I can see VPC is created. This is the VPC. Dev VPC, default VPC, two options are there. I created Dev VPC now. Next, let me create the subnets. So this already subnets are there. What I'll gonna do means I'll name as a subnets names like what is that name? Which subnet this is? 2A, 2C, 2B. Okay, I'll just name it as default DFA default hyphen 2A FA ULT default hyphen 2C DFA ULT default hyphen 2B. I think correct, right? Sequence is correct. 2C, 2A, 2C, 2B. Now I won't touch this one. Okay. Now I want to create separate subnets. I want to create a separate subnets. Two subnets I'll create. Already we discussed, right? In the as per the diagram. This previous diagram somewhere is was loading here. Can you guys see? Public subnet, private subnet. Two subnets I'm creating. Create subnet. Create subnet. We need to select the VPC, which VPC need to create. Our own VPC will choose. Then subnet name is there. Here I can mention public subnet. Public subnet. Availability zone I'll choose 2A. Then this is the IPv4 CIDR block. This is the IPv4 subnet CIDR block we need to give 10.0.0.0 slash how much will give 28. I'll give 28. If I give means I'll get 16 IPs. You guys can find here. If I give this range, I'll get 16 IPs. I'm designing small network. Okay, so this is purpose web server I'll mention means I'm gonna host web servers, websites here. Okay, this is the first one, public subnet, 2A IP address, subnet mask. Then add new subnet. One more I'm creating, private subnet. Private hyphen subnet. 1B, 2B I'll select. 1A I selected for that one, 2B for this one, 2A, 2B. This one range I'll give 10.0.0. So here what is went up 0028 we given, right? So here we'll give 16 slash 28. Again we get 16 IPs here. Okay, I mean first 16 with that range, second 16 is this range. Okay, next purpose I'll select, I'll say DB server, database server. Okay, now I'm creating the subnets. Now two subnets will create with the name. Look at guys, I'll just clear up this one. 2A, 2C, 2B are different. Private subnet and public subnet are different because these three are the default VPC. These two are the dev VPC. Now look at the diagram guys. What are the things are created? Outer layer VPC created, public subnet created, private subnet created, but internal components are not created. Okay, Let's move on to create the internet root tables now. Let's will create the root tables now. Let me click on the root tables. Let me define that what this was. Okay, this is the first one. This is the default. If we will the default. Just a minute. Okay, sorry. So default hyphen VPC hyphen route table. Same way. This one uh, dev hyphen VPC hyphen root table. I'll just say main. This is a main one. Okay, default it came dev VPC root table main. Uh, because without these things are won't came with the names. That's the reason I just named it. Now, two root tables we need to create. Why two root tables are required? Nothing but look at guys. One root here they mentioned one root table only, but this diagram wise they put up one only, but it's required two root tables. What is the purpose means? First root table will connect to public, one more root table connect to private. Okay, that means two routers are required. If we have two routers, one will connect for public website, one for connect for private website, like that. So then create root table. So root table name we need to give. So I'll mention public route table. Public hyphen route hyphen table. Public route table. Then our own VPC, dev VPC. This is for maybe you can use usage. You can mention usage is a tag. I'll use this for web server connectivity. Web server connectivity. Web server connectivity. And also one more keyword I'll mention internet. Yes, this will provide the internet connectivity also. Now I'm gonna create the table. Similar way, one more root table will create, that is private root table. Private hyphen route hyphen table dev VPC name tag. What we given tag there? Usage database then internet. So this is no. I mean in the private no internet. Internet won't get. Okay, like this I created. So that means route tables also created. What are the components we created? VPC created, subnets created, route tables created. Then next we'll create internet gateways. This is the default IGW. Generally, internet gateway will call it as IGW. DEFAULT default hyphen IGW. Okay, default IGW. Now, without IGW, we cannot get the internet connectivity. Remember, guys, IGW is the internet connectivity. This is going to provide the internet connectivity. So I'm going to create the internet gateway now. Create internet gateway. So then I'll provide a name card. My hyphen dev hyphen VPC hyphen IGW. Okay. So then for this one, usage, provide internet to VPC. I mean, this is optional, guys. Doesn't mean not manually need to I mean, not mandatory to provide. It's optional. Just for understanding purpose only, I'm providing this value. Okay. Then create internet gateway. Internet gateway is created, but if it's created, but as you can see, this is attached, detached is there. Default one is attached mode, but the one which you created is detached mode. So you need to attach that actions attached to a VPC, and you need to select that is here. So one thing should be noted down here. Internet gateway can be attachable to one VPC, one internet gateway, one VPC. That's it. One internet gateway, one VPC. You can assume like that. Okay, I attaching that. I attached that. Then internet gateway also clear. Okay, let me here. What is that to jump? What you use? I'm sorry. Okay, let will discuss. Okay, internet gateway also done. Guys, any questions on these four components? Let me know before proceeding further. Any questions, confusions? No. Okay. So egress only internet gateway. Next one. Look at guys. Internet gateway is for IPv4. Egress only internet gateway for IPv6. Make sure that this is for internet gateways for IPv4. IPv4. Then egress only internet gateway for IPv6. Okay, this is for IPv6. So here click on create egress only internet gateway. Here I can give my my dev VPC hyphen EIGW. That one is only IGW. This one EIGW. Okay. Dev VPC. Then purpose for IPv6 network. Okay. Then create egress only internet gateway. So egress only internet gateway also created. VPC subnet route table internet gateway egress only internet gateway also created. Then these components are there, right? Remaining components. This will discuss in the next class. I mean, we need to discuss this the things whatever reflecting here, right? Entire things we need to discuss. Thus gradually we'll discuss in the next class. Okay. About these 5 components, any questions are there? You guys can let me know. If you discuss this all the things now, then VPC will clear, VPC will complete. Okay, but there are still many more things are there. Okay. Before coming to the next class, what you guys have to do means create these 5 components. Okay. Any questions or confusions? After we discuss, I mean, not all the things here. These things when you discuss security till here you need to discuss, but below things are not required for us. Below things it won't work for us. Uh, some people will use VPNs also, but remaining things are not required for us. Transit gateway also sometimes we can be able to use it. But as part of the solution architects also associate level, this virtual private cloud and security are the important parts. Okay. Then post this, we need to discuss about the EC2 one. I mean, we need to create the server. If you guys look at this diagram somewhere, we're discussing that, right? The diagram part. Where is the diagram? This one. Right now, what are the things are completed means route table completed, internet gateway completed. This public subnet, private subnet is completed. But till one more is pending. Okay, that we thought to connect that. Right? Let's complete that as well. Go to route table. Select the public route table. We need to attach that. I mean, public route table is for public subnet, private route table for private subnet. We need to connect that. Actions edit subnet association, select public root table, public subnet, save. Similar way, private root table, edit subnet association, private subnet, you can select like this. Now look at associated public root table, public subnet, private root table, private subnet. It's connected now. Next, public root having internet connectivity. So for that, edit roots we need to click on add root 0.0 we need to select, and here we need to select internet gateway and we need to choose the internet gateway. So how we are getting the internet to the network VPC via internet gateway, right? We need to select that internet gateway here. We need to select the internet gateway here like this. Then save the changes. Now this diagram is fulfilled now. What is pending in this diagram? Internet gateway, root table, root subnet association, then everything is completed in this diagram. Only pending things are EC2 instance. In the middle, the EC2 instance are reflecting, right? That is only pending. That we'll discuss in the next class. Okay. Cool that. If no questions, then we'll wind up here. Thank you so much for a valuable time. Bye.